Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to yet another Cutter Top 10 video, and this will be the last of my Super Bowl videos. I know you'll be thinking, you've only done a 4 day stretch. Isn't there another one? Well, technically, yes. I did do the top 10 Super Bowls, well, prior to the Super Bowl. I didn't want to wait till February. So I will put a link down below for the top 10 Super Bowls of all time. So, you know, you got a lot of great Super Bowls, but these are the top 10 Super Bowl plays of all time, the most iconic plays of all time. Here we go. Number 10 is the Philly Special from Super Bowl 52. Of course, it's a point of sore contention for me as I am a Patriots fan, wearing number 12 for obvious reasons. But the fact of the matter is that, the Phillies Eagles needed something. They were 0 for 1 in Super Bowl, 0 for 2, excuse me, in Super Bowls. They lost in 1981 and 2005, and then in 2018 they took on the Pats. And then on fourth down, they decided to go for it instead of kicking 3 points. So they decided to try something bold. It would be a flea flicker, and then Nick Foles was wide open on the right hand side, got in the end zone. They called it the Philly Special. The Eagles won that Super Bowl, and of course, I'm fuming about that still to this day. Number 9 is Mike Jones's big tackle Super Bowl 34. It is 2000. The Rams and Titans played each other. Until this year, 2026, with the Pats and Seahawks. This was the longest odds in Vegas of two teams to make the Super Bowl, as both the Rams and the Titans were not expected to do well in the postseason and to make the final in the first place. The Titans had some great moves with Aaron McNair, Steve McNair, and the Titans looked pretty good. They were 13-3. You'd be thinking, well, that's good. The only problem is they were actually behind the 14-2 Jacksonville Jaguars in their own division, so they had to play the wild card. They went through the whole home run throwback, like the Music City Miracle, and then in the AFC title game, went to Jacksonville, beat the Jaguars. All three Jaguar losses, including the AFC title game, were to the Titans. Everyone else couldn't beat them. So the Titans got the Super Bowl. But the Rams made the Super Bowl on a shocker themselves, as the Rams rallied around Kurt Warner after Trent Green's injury. Well, Dick Vermeil said so. And the Rams put the greatest show on turf on. Warner's passing to Azakeen, Torrey Holt, and Isaac Bruce was on par, and Marshall Faulk could run and catch the ball. So anyway, the Rams were in the Super Bowl against the Titans. It was a close game. Rams were out 23-16 late. The Titans were trying to charge for that winning touchdown, the tying touchdown to force overtime. Kevin Dyson made the catch, but stretched the arm, could not get to the goal line. He was stopped right at the goal line thanks to Mike Jones, a generic name, but a great player. And the Rams survived over the Titans, and Dick Vermeil could retire happy. Number 8 is Joe Montana's drive from Super Bowl 23. You all know about the drive by John Elway, but Joe Montana's drive was just as good. Super Bowl 23 between the Bengals and Niners were big. The Bengals had a 16-13 lead, led by Stanford Jennings in his 96-yard touchdown return. Anyhow, the Niners were in trouble. In the final 4 minutes, they had to go down 92 yards they went down 92 yards. They could have easily tied the game, go to overtime, or take the touchdown and take the 2016 lead. Joe Montana, after a timeout, decided to do something Joe cool. He basically told his team, hey, is that John Candy on the sidelines? Because John Candy was the host of some stupid NBC show. They wanted to do some NFL talent thing. But anyway, yeah, John Candy was on the field. Montana would throw many passes to Jerry Rice, but then he threw one right over the middle, not to Rice, but to John Taylor, who the next year in the 89-90 season actually had two great touchdown catches of more than 90 yards against the Rams. But anyway, Montana, cool as a cucumber, helped the Niners beat the Bengals. Number 7 is wide right. Yeah, a lot of Super Bowls can hinge on a missed field goal, but none like this. It was Super Bowl 25, 1991, between the Bills and the Giants. The Bills had their no huddle offense work out. They crushed the Raiders into oblivion in the AFC title game. The Giants had to go into San Francisco to face the belly of the beast, the two-time defending champs. And thanks to Joe Montana being hit by Leonard Marshall, Montana was knocked out of the game. No big deal. Steve Young was a good quarterback, but unfortunately, Roger Craig fumbled the ball. Giants get a chance, and with his fifth field goal, Matt Barr kicks it through 15-13 Giants over the Niners to go to the Super Bowl, especially with Phil Simms hurt and Jeff Hostetler having to carry the load. The Bills were stopped because Parcells and Belichick decided to use the running attack, like the ball control, and stuff the Bills. The Bills were down 20-19. They got to in position for a 48-year field goal by Scott Norwood. All he had to do was kick it down the middle. But unfortunately, we all know what happens. He kicked it wide right, and the Giants were Super Bowl champs. Of course, not to downplay it, but Scott Norwood's kick was hard because how many field goal kickers in the 90s could kick 45 plus yards for a field goal? And also, Norwood was used to kicking on turf because that's what Rich Stadium was, a turf stadium. Anyway, doesn't matter. Number 6 is Marcus Allen's run in Super Bowl 18 against the Redskins. Washington were dominant. They were the first team to score 500 points in their regular season. They took care of the Raiders in the regular season, so everyone thought Washington was going to win. Anyway, yeah, the Raiders looked pretty impressive. The Redskins were the defending Super Bowl champs too, and of course, let's not forget about Jack Squire making us picking off a screen pass by Wiseman and scoring more points near the end of the first half. But Marcus Allen put up a 74-year run, which he would dazzle everyone by cutting back a couple of ways from sunshine and had it there. Everyone knows about Willie Parker having the longest touchdown run in Super Bowl history and also the John Riggins play, but this was also a good run for touchdown. Number 5 is John Elway and his helicopter spin Super Bowl 32. The Broncos would take on the Packers. This was big for the Broncos because John Elway was trying to get his first Super Bowl after failing 3 times in 1987 to the Giants, 1988 to Washington, and 1990 to San Francisco. He wanted that title to hang his hat on. And what's even worse for the Broncos was that no AFC team until since Marcus Allen and the Raiders in 1984 had won. So anyway, and they were defending. They're playing the defending champion Packers. The Broncos and Packers were in a fourth quarter battle when John Elway decided to spin his way for a first down. So he launched himself off of a tackle, helicoptered with his legs, and managed to get the first down. It was just amazing how he's 37 years old and he puts his body on the line just so the Broncos could win the Super Bowl. That wasn't the winning play, but it was still fan freaking tastic. Elway would win another title the next year. Number 4 is James Harrison going coast to coast with a pick 6, Super Bowl 43. So the Steelers were taking on the Cardinals. A lot of people were shocked that the Cardinals even got to the final because the Cardinals in their franchise history just couldn't get to the finals when it mattered most. Well, in the Super Bowl era, they got to a few finals in the NFL championship era. But the fact of the matter was the Cardinals were one of the most snake bit franchises around. They took on the Steelers, who once were snake bit themselves, but by the 70s they were better. Super Bowl 43 would be one for the ages and all that. And yes, there is another play from Super Bowl 43 on this list. But anyway, at the end of the first half, Kurt Warner had a good play for the Cardinals and then somehow decided to pass the ball. James Harrison caught the ball in the end zone and he ran it back. And Harrison's not a small guy either. He's a big boy. And somehow he managed to fight off tackle after tackle, got 100 yards just across the goal line for a pick 6. And the Steelers looked pretty sure of themselves. Number 3 is Malcolm Butler's goal line pick, Super Bowl 49. Super Bowl 49 was big. The Pats were in their first Super Bowl since 2005, 10-year run, and the Seahawks were the defending champs after crushing Denver and Mr. Peyton Manning. This was amazing and all that. The Patriots and the Seahawks were fighting tooth and nail with each other. It was close until the Patriots got through and took the lead on the Seahawks. Seattle charged back as Russell Wilson threw a pass that somehow Jermaine Kearse bobbled and had it almost picked off by the Patriots, but it didn't. As the Seahawks got the ball back and then they got it to the 1 yard line. Instead of giving Russell Wilson or Marshawn Lynch the ball, they decided to throw for a pass to surprise the Patriots, but not so fast. Malcolm Butler wasn't fooled. He put up the interception. The Pats beat the Seahawks. And no, I didn't see this game live because I was working at Target, so I never got to see this game. Well, I could have watched the fourth quarter, but I'm like, I didn't watch the first few quarters, so that would be bad. Number 2 is Santonio Holmes with the toe tap from Super Bowl 43. This was one of the best touchdown catches ever and one of the most probable game-winning Super Bowl plays of all time. Steelers and Cardinals were battling tooth and nail, like I said. Kurt Warner threw a innocent pass at Larry Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald put on the afterburners, and the Cardinals were winning by 4 points. It would look like the Cardinals were going to win the Super Bowl and break that franchise's curse. Not so fast. Ben Roethlisberger, with the presence of mind, had a great drive, and then they were at 2nd and goal, I think it was, with like 39 seconds left. The Steelers still had the ball. Roethlisberger decided to throw high and wide to the right side, and I thought, oh, this isn't going to work out. But somehow, in some freaky way, Santonio Holmes managed to catch the ball and toe tap, meaning he put his toes into the end zone while maintaining possession, which meant that, he put his 2 feet down in bounds and all that. In college, it's 1, but in the pros, it's 2. So Santonio toe taps, touchdown for the Steelers. And, well, it worked out. Santonio doing his job, and the Steelers won their 6th Super Bowl as a franchise. And number 1 is by far the David Tyree play from Super Bowl 42. The Patriots were trying to go undefeated. They were 18-0, 16 regular season wins and 2 postseason wins. They would take on those pesky New York Giants, who a lot of people didn't think would get there. Like I said the last video when I talked about the top 10 Super Bowl MVPs, is that Eli helped those Giants. I mean, the Giants were not supposed to beat Tampa. The Giants were not supposed to go into Dallas and beat the 13-3 Cowboys with Tony Romo and T.O. and possibly Jessica Simpson. They weren't supposed to go into Green Bay, beat Brett Favre on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And all that, and weren't expected to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl because the Pats were unbeatable. And they beat the Giants in the regular season too. But no, that's not what happened. So anyway, David Tyree notwithstanding. So Super Bowl 42 was a close one. Patriots were winning by a few points when Eli on 3rd and 5 was judged to still be in possession. And, if he kept going backwards, they would have blown the play dead, but he didn't. Eli somehow got away from the pressure and launched the ball deep downfield. And David Tyree had the presence of mind to find the ball, stick it against his helmet, and make sure that Ronnie Harrison didn't catch the ball for the Pats. And the Giants ended up winning the game and the Super Bowl thanks to Plaxico Burress' touchdown. But yeah, Eli coming out of that 3rd and 5 play was just amazing, and David Tyree made that great catch. And so that's what ended up happening, and that was the end of it. And unfortunately, my Pats had to take a serious L, as the kids say, and it just ticked me off to no end. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.